Hello, everyone. Derek Floyd here, Beautiful Now Podcast. Welcome to a special segment of Chasing the Impossible. This is going to be part of a series that we're entitling EDM in the Studio, which actually translates to electronic dance music. And you're saying, what's that? Well, if you listen to the radio and you hear your song being remixed in a new style, it's probably going to be EDM. It has a bunch of different flavors like trance and house and techno and dubstep, all mixed up to give you these great new sounds. And it keeps you that boom, 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 boom. You know what I mean, that great foot of the floor bass. And what we've done is we've gathered some of these most incredible DJ producers to talk to you about what it takes to make these incredible tracks. And if you wanted to be an EDM producer, what would you have to do to get there? So if you enjoy that kind of content, do me a favor. Please hit me with a like right now and subscribe to the channel. This is going to let me get the most updated content to you as soon as it's available. Also, if you're really excited about it, hit the share button. Let someone else join in the fun to watch how cool EDM music can be. Last but not least, all the content is always brought to you by and powered by IK Multimedia and Lewitt Microphones. Now, today's guest is an internationally known DJ producer who has played at some of the biggest events in the world, like Tomorrowland and Ibiza. He's also worked with some of the most incredible producers in the world, like Armin van Buuren and Paul Oakenfold, just to name a few, even Tiesto. He is known as one of the legends in the EDM game, and he stopped by today just to talk to us, the subscribers, to give us a little bird's eye view of what it took for him to get there and what it's going to take for you to make your own mark in the music world. Please help me welcome my new friend, EDM legend, Ferry Corsten. Ferry, you there, buddy?
Yeah. How are you, man?
What's going on, man? I'm good, brother. I thank you for taking a few minutes to talk to my subscribers.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Pleasure. Awesome. Yeah. And you staying safe out there and being careful with all this COVID madness going on?
Yeah, what can you do? I mean, the world that I live in usually, which is touring, does not exist at the moment. So it's this is my domain right now, my studio, and I'm happy here. Don't get me wrong, but after it's cabin fever is kicking in, and I kind of want to get going again. But at the same time, I'm able to spend real time with the family, the kids, and
good stuff.
That before COVID, it was always like, okay, we have the weekdays, and when they come back from school, just a few hours here and there. During the day, I'm in the studio, and then when the weekend comes around, I'm sort of headed for the airport again.
Yeah.
So it was always pretty hectic, and it's now really nice to actually
man. Nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, let's go ahead and kick into a little bit of your story. And we're so glad for you to take a few minutes. And since you're trapped in the studio, we got you locked in now. We got you for a good 30 minutes, so we're gonna get you good.
Yeah.
So you've been a DJ producer for how many years now? And where did you get your start?
For me, it's always been a hobby. DJing really. There was this radio show here in the 80s. That's when I grew up listening to other music than just the top 40 stuff. And there was this radio show called The Soul Show. And it was just sort of like playing all this music that was played in the discos at the time. And, just really interesting stuff. And one of the items in the show was a 15-minute mix that listeners could send in, and it's not like a mix that you think of today, with a bunch of decks. It's like decks, and it was like reel to reel tape, cutting pasting type of thing. And for me, I was 9-10 years old, and that was okay, this is so cool. This is what else you can do with music. I want to do this. So I figured out that two decks you needed, a tape machine and a mixer, and clever and smart ideas. I started practicing at some point, and one thing led to the next. Meeting friends while going out who had a little studio years later, and let's try something together. And again, first release came out, led to the next, and here we are, so many years later, still doing it. But then
That's
on a
awesome.
grander
That's
scale.
awesome. And
Yeah,
where in the country do you live? Where are you?
I'm in the Netherlands. I'm in
The
Rotterdam.
Netherlands. Wow, wow. So you're so
Born and
obviously
raised.
you're not American. You are from another country. And now I've met a lot of the most recent trance artists that I talked to. A lot of them are not from here. They're from Europe or from another space. Do you feel like the
Right.
U.S. art doesn't really have that kind of vibe to create trance artists? So for some reason we can't get them to come this way. What's the deal?
No, no, I don't think so. The US has some amazing artists also in the trance space. What I do know, what I do see is that um, the US artists are usually on a lower sort of BPM. That's
Mm.
that's that's really a thing. Um, and yeah, the faster stuff usually comes from this side of the world. Yeah,
Ah, gotcha, gotcha. So let's break down a little bit though about DJ slash producer. That's your title, but
yeah,
people right now kind of make that like one unified thing, and it really is two specific skill sets, two specific careers, right? Give me a little bit about
yeah.
what each one does and why.
Um, well, like you said, there's definitely two skill sets, two sort of faces. Each is their it's its own sort of skill. Um, as a DJ, you basically are are uh, taking. You're more like an entertainer, right? You're DJing for in front of people that have a night out, and you want to take them to take them on a journey. It's the most standard thing to say, but that's what it is really. And how you do that is basically you mix complete productions like records or tracks that are full tracks. You mix that into like that set or that journey or that trip that you're building um, by mixing existing music together into a story. Um, and like I said, you are an entertainer. You are there to serve the crowd in two ways. One, to give them what they really want. At the same time, to give them a little kick under the ass. Like this is also new stuff which you have to listen to and you should like. You know,
Yeah,
instead of only listening, instead of only playing the hits and the classics. Also just
yeah.
tease them a bit. Then we get to producing. That is actually from scratch, making a song. You know, so that's the part that is before a DJ can play that track. As a producer, you are actually creating the music. Um, and within producing, being a producer goes there's so many different ways of being a producer. You can be a producer slash engineer, songwriter, and you can also just be a producer and you have an engineer and you tell the engineer exactly how you want it because that's not where how far your skills go. But you're still a producer. So there's a lot of DJs out there that are DJ, that are producer, but they may lack the engineering skills. But they're still a producer because they are so like really, um, yeah. How can I say they tell the engineer what to do exactly. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So for you, which skill set do you like the most? Which do you prefer? Because you wear both hats. Is there one you prefer over the other?
It's hard, man. Um, I really like both very much. But once I've with the touring, once I've done some heavy touring, I can't wait to be back here in my own little space and you know and work on music. And this is my own little domain, and it's me with my imagination and my thoughts. And I create music, and I can already sort of like envision what it will do on the dance floor. Um, that's really cool. At the same time, having been here, especially now after 9 months, you know,
Does it
I
feel like
want
9 months? Holy crap, 9 months. Wow.
I don't know. I lost count of it, what it was, but
Jeez.
yeah. But yeah. I mean, after having been in the studio for a long time, I can't wait to get out there again. So it's and the cool thing is with being a producer while being a DJ, I can supply myself with fresh new music, edits, remixes that I've created of the tracks that I want to play, or I create new tracks for my sets. So it's a circle, it goes hand in hand, really.
So what would you think if you saw these new kids out there that are watching the program? What would you say would be the first skill that every DJ/producer should probably learn? They should get involved with this to make sure that it makes their job a little easier.
Yeah. Well, I really think, like what I said earlier, you're there to serve the crowd in a way. You can be the most skillful DJ in terms of beat matching, super tight, and mixing in key. That's very important as well, depending on what kind of music you play. But if you keep playing boring stuff and it's mixed so well, it's still a boring set.
Yeah.
But if you play the one amazing track after the other and the crowd goes absolutely ballistic, but you mess up, it's I don't know. People don't really mind that even,
Yeah.
As long as the music is good. So I think the winning factor here would be putting just an awesome set down first. Again, playing the stuff they want. Sometimes sprinkle in a few tracks that you want them to get to know, and pushing things forward. And at the same time, keep working on those beat matching skills. And also, if you play melodic music, for example, trance is very melodic nowadays. This whole melodic techno thing, you really need to mix in key. Otherwise, you can just play two clashing keys, and people who have a bit of a musical ear go absolutely like
They'll look at you like that wasn't it. Don't do that again.
Yeah, completely. Yeah. Yeah. So, but that's how I would look at it. Yeah, for sure.
Is there any specific equipment they should get first to get started? I mean, because right now it used to be a big turntable or the old vinyl space. But now, what do you need to be a DJ producer now? It's so different.
Well, you can actually mix from your iPhone already, But ultimately, I think if you have 2 decks and a mixer, that's the bare minimum, And then you can get into that sort of hybrid space where it is DJing. Yeah, but you have that crossover, that hybrid sort of space where DJs use Ableton, to do a DJ set, but a lot of people also use Ableton to produce with. So, and that now I guess we get to the production part. What do you need for that?
Well, that brings you to, if you're producer or DJ, especially if you were the creator, what's more important, or what grabs your attention or inspires you more, the beat or the melody?
For me, that would definitely be the melody, because a beat is just a beat, it's boom clap, and of course you can get really creative with beats, so you can make that the hook of the track. But in general, the hook of a song or of a track is, if it's not for the words, it's definitely the melody. And that's when I start out with a new track. That's the first thing I'm trying to nail. It's just a top melody, the chords with it, and the rest of the track will build itself around it. Yeah.
And are you always thinking lyrics? Because I know I listen to a lot of trance as of late. Some things have lyrics, some things don't. Are you always thinking, I'm going to put a voice on this, or does it just make its own way as the track is built?
Yeah, as the track is building itself, do I miss a vocal right now, or is this hook so strong as an instrumental track that sometimes you have such an amazing instrumental track that when you put a vocal on it, it just completely destroys the whole point of the track. And it's funny to see that nowadays everyone's just so fixated on vocals that I'm like, guys, music is more how can I say, universal. Mm-hmm. Because lyrics are lyrics. If you speak the language, then you know the meaning. But you don't always need that. And a beautiful melody will speak to everyone.
That's
Yeah.
good. That's good. Speaking of beautiful melodies, I know you've written so many and you've worked with so many different artists. Was there a specific DJ or producer that inspired you that made you go, I want to do that and write that way or work within that frame of mind?
DJ wise, I've always been a fan, if you will. Yeah, I've been following those guys for years. Carl Cox and Paul Oakenfold. Those were the first guys I started following myself before I was a DJ. And in terms of music or so, I don't know. There's not one person or producer that I said like, oh, that was the guy that inspired me to do this. It was more like the music from an era. Like I said earlier, I grew up with that radio show, The Soul Show, and the music that was played there really just grabbed me back in the day when I was a kid. Like, okay, this is cool. This is what I want to do, and so it's, I guess I have a big soft spot for 80s stuff. So yeah,
80s, you're an 80s baby. Yeah, I think we all are right now. Everybody that watches this program, I think, is an 80s baby.
All right.
I definitely am.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah.
What's wrong with 80s?
And 80s was a unique time for music, wasn't it? It just had a little bit of everything. It was like a risk-taking time. Everybody tried everything, don't you think?
I feel the same. Yeah, it's like I also believe that maybe late 70s into the 80s was this new. It was like the dawn of synthesizer sampling, all of that stuff, and the type of mixing and cutting and pasting that I described earlier was coming from those days, and was never done before. So synthesizers and drum computers and all of that, I think really had its sort of like big sort of thing in the early 80s.
Sure.
So yeah, very groundbreaking sort of decade, I guess.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. And once you quote unquote made it, I guess, or became successful, and you started meeting some of your heroes like the Armin van Buurens and Paul Oakenfold, people of that nature, did they give you any tips and tricks, any lessons you could have taken from them so that you could do better at your own success?
Well, Armin and I go way back before we both were to like, before we both broke through with music. So we started out at the same time, around the same time. But what I take away from what he's been doing for so many years is his radio show. That sort of determination and dedication.
ASOT, man. That's how I found you. I found you through ASOT. It works. That's where I found you, on Spotify.
Yeah. So respect to him for that. Really sticking to it, and obviously I'm now sort of like part of it every month for 1 hour, and reaching 1,000 episodes is divide that by the amount of weeks. It's a lot of years.
Yeah, that's big time, man. That's a huge marker. That means I feel like he's pushed the industry forward. He's pushed trance forward by keeping that going, by being consistent. Don't you think?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it's in that sense, he's always been a beacon for trance. I mean, trance had its big sort of heyday in around like 99, 2000, up to like 2005, and then it went down a little. It's always been there. Mm-hmm. And I still think that trance is definitely the tastemaker of it's like I always like to say it's the salt and pepper on the table,
Nice.
For other genres.
I like it.
And I'm sure I get a lot of booing for that right now. Well, that's not true. It is true.
Tell him, man. Get him, Ferry. Get him.
Yeah.
Get him.
No, listen to all the other genres out there right now. Everything that has a bit of melancholy, sort of melodic vibes in it. Mm-hmm. That the first style in dance music that was doing that was trance, and it goes way back, to the mid '90s. So it's just long time. But
I love it.
Yeah, but Armin has always been, ever since when trance went down a little, Armin has still been pushing with a state of trance with that name of the radio show up to today. So yeah.
That's awesome. how much of, for all the kids that are all the, I won't say all kids because everybody's not a kid, but all the young people that are watching, how much of the music business is more business now than music? Because I mean, we hear people that are great tracks, but we want to get these guys to understand there's still a whole business component to this too. They need to understand and be savvy to, right?
Yeah, I guess it's just as much as I'm uh, more like a creative person, I don't really want to be busy with business side. Luckily, I have a great team around me that does most of that for me. So, but yeah, it's definitely important to know what's going on, know about rights and everything. It's very important, and also how things work. Nowadays, it's not anymore like back in the day where you license your track, you press records or CDs, and nowadays it's Spotify or some of the all those streaming portals right now. And music has, as much as I want music to be pure music, nowadays music doesn't exist anymore. It's analytics. So sadly, but at the same time, it's exciting too. And how do you deal with that? How can you still come up with great music, and get those streaming numbers in? So yeah,
You
but
you mentioned something that a couple people have already said to me, which is if you're the creative, stay creative. Let someone else handle the business part of it, but find someone. You got to make sure that that's getting handled for you because it's not going to fall in your
yeah,
lap, and it has to be done. But
no,
a lot of the people I've talked to have said, "Hey, get someone, hire a good team," and that's a
yeah,
good something to say to people out there.
definitely, because it's also for your own protection. You don't want to create music and just sign it to whoever. And there's always the chance that, especially when you think, oh, this, yeah, I just made this in 10 minutes, and it becomes a massive hit. If you it happened before many times. Yeah, better be protected with people that know their stuff in that world. Um, and I feel, hey, great respect for the guys that can really do both. They can be very creative and are super savvy. Um, but most creative guys are, or people, I shouldn't say guys.
Most creative people.
Most creative ladies and gentlemen
There you
are,
go.
yeah, they're just occupied with being creative. And
Sure.
yeah,
And as we think about where things are now with COVID and just how the landscape has changed coming into 2021, I'm sure DJs, producers are going, how do we get out and become a DJ now? Because we can't go to the club. And you may not be able to go to the club for a while. What do you think's going to happen, or how does that evolve as a DJ producer now coming out?
yeah, that's really hard. I mean, um, it's hard because there are no clubs right now, but social media has become so much more important, even now. Even more so now, because that's your presence to the world, or in the world, basically. And you don't really have to wait and sit and wait there until you get your chance in a club. You can actually now go live streaming on your social media platforms, but you need to be available. You need to have that reach. So build on that reach, and you can actually build your own sort of online presence. You know, now that when the world opens up again, people know your name, have seen you, and you have that presence, and it's probably much easier in a way to go out and say, like, hey, this is what I've been doing, look at my numbers. And you may not even have to do that, because there might be a big chance that clubs, festivals, or bookers
Sure.
will actually find you because of that. Yeah.
And I didn't get to ask you this before, but I wanted to throw this out there too. Do you feel like these kids, or these keep saying kids, these young people out there, they should invest in like some kind of school, like an audio school, there's DJ schools, audio schools out there. Would that assist them in maybe being sharper at what they do? What do you think?
Um, yeah, I definitely. If you want to get into production, audio engineering is definitely a great course to follow, really. but it's not necessary. You can school yourself as well. There's tons of little things out there, tutorials out there on YouTube, and
A
if
lot
you
of great
want to know,
content on YouTube. Yeah, a lot of great content
yeah,
out there.
if you want to know how to compress a snare drum, well, YouTube will tell you that, in
Yeah,
many ways.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
but yeah, why not? Just you can always it can harm you, you
Sure,
know.
sure,
And at DJ school, yeah, I don't know. I have my doubts with that stuff.
sure.
It's in the end, I feel like a DJ is still, in a way, it's still street art. It sounds
Hmm.
weird when I say that, but
No, I
it,
completely agree.
you know what I mean.
Hmm.
It's something that it's a skill that you need to pick up, and but if you want to get that little push of how the technical side of that works, yeah,
Hmm.
DJ school might be good. Those guys will tell you how a mixer works, how a deck works,
Sure, sure.
um, the basic steps of making a mix, doing beat matching. But after that,
Hmm.
it's down to you how creative can you get, and no school
That's
will teach
true.
you that.
It's
Yeah,
all about the creativity, about the passion you have for it, for sure, for sure.
yeah, yeah.
Well, man, as always, you have been a great guest, and I appreciate you taking the time to talk to my subscribers. I only have one last question for you, and that's, you've done it all in this sphere. You've played the big shows, you've had the big artists, you've worked with just about everybody now. What's the evolution for Ferry Corsten coming up next year? What does he want? Where does he want to go? What's the evolution for you?
Um, well, I've really been working on a lot of tracks in the studio for next year when it opens up again. I'm sort of like touching on the beginnings of a new album again, so this is exciting. But I've always had a passion for like more ambient type of stuff, cinematic stuff, and I decided earlier this year. Well, actually, it was uh, late last year, way before the pandemic, to actually give another project of mine called Fair a go. And
Which I've heard, by the way, and it's amazing. Everybody need to go check it out. It's awesome.
yeah, it's called As Above, So Below, and it's an ambient album that I put together, which came out in March, right when lockdown hit everywhere. So everyone was saying like, "Yeah, did you do this on purpose? You saw this coming?" Um, but yeah, that's really exciting. I mean, it just came out as a deluxe version a few weeks ago with three new tracks, and that's really another direction as a side project that I want to pursue. And in the long run, hopefully, I'll get myself into scoring, film scoring at some point. That would be
Nice.
that would be a great new chapter for me. But before we get there, I'm still very much happy with the DJing part and the music that I'm making now. Yeah.
Well, that's awesome, man. Awesome. We'll be looking for you behind the next movie show. We say, hey, that's the Ferry Corsten score. We'll be looking for that for you soon, man. That'd be awesome.
Okay, man. Fingers crossed.
That would be awesome. Well, man, once again, thank you for taking a few minutes of your precious time. I know since you're locked up in that studio, you're making more music for us. If anybody wants to find out more about you or find more music coming from you, what's the best places to find you? Where should they look for you?
It's basically all the social media platforms / Ferry Corsten. So it's pretty easy,
Okay, so
straightforward.
Facebook, Instagram, all that stuff there,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and Spotify, of course.
Of course, and Twitch and everything. Ferry
And you
Corsten.
have a radio show too, do you not? I forgot about that.
Yeah, yeah, I did. Yeah, I had a radio show for 700 episodes called Corsten's Countdown.
That's a
We just
lot.
hit, yeah, we hit 700 episodes a couple of weeks ago, and that's also when I decided to end that show.
Oh, wow.
And
Okay.
basically at the same time, start a new one. Um, so just a bit more free with the concept. So it's called Resonation, and you
And where
can
can I
find it
see
on
that
all
one at?
on my socials as well. Yeah,
Okay, so be
YouTube.
looking for that new radio show from Ferry,
Yeah,
Resignation,
Resonation.
Resonation. Okay, you got help me out. I'm a little slow. Know.
It's called Resignation. Resignation
we
Radio.
we want to make sure everybody can find you, man. So thanks again for taking the
Hey,
time.
very cool.
Sending love to you and your family. Be careful out there. Wash those hands. You guys know how I feel about that. and we'll definitely come back and get you back on the program sometime soon. And to all the
Sounds good.
subscribers out there, man, we want to make sure you enjoy this content. So if you do like it, please hit a like or subscribe. Let us know that you enjoy this content. This helps us get the most updated stuff to you as soon as it's available. And of course, if you really enjoyed it today, share it with a friend. Hit that share button. Pull the finger back right now. Share right now. Thank you so much, guys. People can take a look at what we're doing. And last but not least, again, keep those hands washed. Be safe. Take care of each other. And hey, enjoy the story. Take care, guys. Have a great one. Bye-bye now.